The painting A City Came Out to Sea in Thailand, shot 6 times in Costa Rica, and Mission in Hong Kong. All this and much more coming up next. Hello and welcome to Mission 360. I'm Gary Krause. Today's program is coming to you from Hong Kong, China. Some 7.5 million people live in Hong Kong, which is a relatively small geographical area of just over 400 square miles. So it's one of the world's most densely populated urban areas. And behind me here you can see the iconic Victoria Harbour. Well, on today's program we're going to be taking you all over the world. We're going to be looking at Mission right here in Hong Kong. But first up, let's go to Thailand and learn about the painting that the city came out to see.
It's said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. In some cases, it can be worth even more. Before serving as director for the Global Mission Center for East Asian Religions in the 1990s, Clifton Maberly had served a number of years in Thailand as a missionary. He noticed that people were drawn to storytelling through pictures.
I was in a village one day with Pastor Mun Lansi, and he said to me, "Have you ever seen the painting of the last life of the Buddha?" And I said, "No." He said, "Every temple has one." And the abbot from that temple, so he went to him and said, "Can you show this foreigner your picture of the last life of the Buddha?" So he came and brought it out and rolled it out. It was 50 meters long. But what was most interesting to me is when we rolled it out, the children who'd come to look at me, they suddenly forgot about me and they went and got their friends and they told each other the story from the long picture that was on the grass.
For some time, Clifton had been brainstorming ways to make the gospel message relatable to the Thai people. Clifton wanted to commission paintings to tell the story of Jesus. He visited the Fine Art University, and one of the painting teachers recommended Clifton talk to his mentor and teacher.
So I went to the teacher's college, found him, and said to him, "I got a strange thing here. I want to tell a story that hasn't been told in Thailand before, but I want to do it through Thai art, not because it has to, but because it may speak to heart better, and it also will be a talking point rather than bring in art from somewhere else."
The accomplished Thai artist agreed. For several weeks, they strategized how to best communicate the story Clifton wanted to tell. They decided to start with a scene depicting Jesus' second coming, a scene that had never been created in the Thai Lana art style, often seen in temples across the country.
The painting was there being slowly formed in the heart of their home, and there was a big pile of books and spirit of prophecy books and books he borrowed from the library there. That was the main thing that was in his lounge room for maybe 10 months while he did the first painting. Every time I visited him, it was there. And I thought, would I put so much effort into telling somebody else's gospel as he put in telling my gospel?
After months of laboring over the painting, it was finally finished and placed in the Chiang Mai Adventist Church, located in the culturally rich and historic city center.
So this is the picture of the second coming of Christ. Now, we have portrayed the second coming of Christ many different ways, but there is a description in Revelation of the rider on the white horse with his following horses as a picture of the second coming. So he's taken that one literally and made this the arrival of the rider on the white horse.
The Chiang Mai community was very interested in the paintings and would visit the Adventist church to come see them.
People came every day to look at the paintings. Teachers would organize even from primary school, from secondary school, from the teachers' college, from the university. They came to get introduced to the pictures, to see the picture as a class project. And Buddhist monks came to the door and said, "We heard you have some paintings, can you open the church for us to see them?" And so I never had any negative reaction from any of those people. They were all willing to listen to the story from beginning to end, which I can't just bring people from the street and say, "Let me tell you what Adventists believe about the end of the world." No one's going to sit and listen. But with a painting, they just listen like lambs and ask many questions about it. Seem to just open them up to curiosity in a way that talking will never do.
By contextualizing the gospel for the people of northern Thailand, Clifton and the Thai painter opened doors that may have never opened otherwise. They offered the opportunity for people to see a message of hope that most of them would not have listened to if it had not been painted. Now, over 35 years later, these paintings are displayed in the library of Asia Pacific International University, where many of the students are from a Buddhist background, and where the climate control can preserve these paintings for future generations to see. Please pray for the people of Thailand and throughout the 1040 window, where the majority of people aren't Christian. Despite having different worldviews, using creative means like these create opportunities for connection. What about mission in your community? Are there ways you can contextualize the Adventist message to those around you?
My guest here in Hong Kong is Pastor Johan Lee, who is one of the chaplains at Hong Kong Adventist Hospital. Pastor Lee, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now, when I think of a hospital chaplain, I think I know what your role is, but describe for me what a hospital chaplain is and what a hospital chaplain does.
Actually, as a hospital chaplain, normally we will do two things. First is the spiritual guidance,
yes,
and the second is pastoral care, to the patient, family members of the patient, and also the staff and the doctors. And also, we also do something called the crisis intervention. If it's any crisis in the hospital, we are the one to try to de-escalate the crisis. And also, we also are involved in promoting the hospital culture. So we hope that we have a positive hospital culture, corporate culture, so that the staff can be happy to serve there, and also this also will help the patient to experience the better healthcare.
So you're serving not only the patients but also the staff in the hospital. Very interesting. Now, when you think about the patients coming to the hospital, now obviously they've got physical needs, but what are the most common needs that you see other than the obvious physical ones?
Actually, there are two important needs. The first one is the spiritual needs. So this means that sometimes they need to feel the sense of belonging. Sometimes they are so sick, they need someone to love them, to care for them. And also sometimes their emotion is so distressed, and they feel the anxiety. So these are needs you need to address. And also the second part is mostly for the cancer patient, because their emotional is not so stable. So sometimes we need to give them some advice, some counseling, and also we need to try to give them some suggestions so that they can have a more stable emotion during the treatment, and also the time they are staying in the hospital.
Yeah, so it's a very stressful time for many of these patients. So when you look at the hospital, obviously located in a densely populated community, what is the major contribution that you think the hospital is making to the community here in Hong Kong?
Actually, our hospital, we are promoting the holistic healthcare. So we not only to provide them medical help, we also provide them the holistic approach to the healthcare, like including the mental, social, and spiritual. So normally when the patient came to our hospital, so we will provide them the holistic approach of healthcare. Besides that, also we go to the community. We also go to the corporate to share with them our concept of the healthcare. And also we also do some talk to the corporate company, and so that they also their staff actually can also know what is the holistic healthcare, and also they also can help them to cope with their life better. And also, we also have some community service. We went to some part of Hong Kong, which is they are not so wealthy. They're kind of like lower socio-economic group. And also, we also teach them what is the concept of holistic healthcare. So we provide the health screening for them, and also we follow up and we concern their life. We care for them. We provide the free tuition to their children, and also we try to connect them to God.
Wonderful. So chaplains are in a unique opportunity, unique position to actually connect with people. So from your experience, can you give me an example of how the chaplaincy department has been able to be of service to somebody?
Yeah, I remember there is one case that is very meaningful to me. And I remember there was a lady, and she was diagnosed with advanced cancer. She's just a few months to live. But this lady actually, she has some misunderstanding with her children. So they are not talking at all. So it's very sad, to see this. So as chaplain, I try to think a way how to connect them together, to reconcile them, so that can restore this relationship. So I invite the children to come to visit her, and also we try a lot of effort, And the last, this lady is able to reconcile with the children, and the children also forgive her, for what she did, in the past. So, and after that, she passed away with peace, and that is a very beautiful, scenario, and a very beautiful picture. See someone die in peace and comfort, and holding the hand of their children.
That is wonderful. So you would see that forgiveness plays a very important role in your ministry.
Yes.
So, Pastor Lee, what is it that is the most rewarding thing for you being involved in chaplaincy?
Actually, chaplaincy is a very rewarding career calling, and the most rewarding actually is like when you serve a patient, you can see after that they feel peaceful, they feel comfort, and they're able to cope with their illness, and you can see their smile, even though they are in the midst of suffering. And they can see the peaceful, the heart, the smile, and also the most important thing is like a thank you. They will write a little card to thank you, and this can make our days very bright and so happy.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Pastor Lee, thank you for opening a little window for us into the role of a chaplain. May God continue to bless you in your ministry.
Thank you.
And viewers at home, holistic mission. That's what the Adventist Church has been called to, and that's what is being displayed through Hong Kong Adventist Hospital. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Hong Kong, and I'm standing in Hong Kong Cemetery beside the grave of Abram LaRue. When he became an Adventist in the late 1800s, he caught a vision to go as a missionary to the Far East, as they called it, to China. He wrote to the headquarters of the Adventist Church, the General Conference, telling them of his wish, and they wrote back telling him that, sorry, we don't have the money and you're probably too old. Well, the vision didn't die, and at age 65 in 1888, he found his own way to Hong Kong. And here he ministered as best he could. He had tracts translated into the Chinese language. He connected with people. He made friends. And he never went home. This is where he is buried today, a testimony to the dedication of missionaries who have crisscrossed the globe over the years, sharing the love of Jesus.
Welcome back to Mission 360 TV. Today's guest is an expert in his field. I'm excited to learn from him, for you guys to hear his perspectives. we have Dr. David Trim. Thank you for giving us some time on the TV show.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Caleb. Thank you.
For context, can you start just by telling us who you are, what you do, and what that means for us?
Yes, so I am Director of Archives, Statistics, and Research for the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, based at the World Headquarters just outside Washington, D.C. Archives, Statistics, and Research, what does that mean? Archives, we are responsible for the records of the General Conference and its institutions and divisions. We also, in terms of statistics, we collect and publish statistics and organizational information. We publish the Seventh-day Adventist Yearbook, and we also publish the annual statistical report. And the research we do is of two kinds. There's social scientific research, which is essentially surveys of church members and various kinds of church employees to assess their practices, their spiritual practices, their beliefs, their attitudes, their understanding of what the church is and how it functions. But we also do historical research using the archives.
I see. That's a very extensive reach of work that you guys have, from finding the information, somehow finding out how to do that efficiently, to publishing and analyzing and everything. I'm going to ask you a little bit about the statistics as well, but just tell me why, because some people may seem like, why does history matter so much? If we're looking toward the future, why do we need to put so much effort into knowing and remembering the past?
Because we are the past. We are the products of our past in ways we can't always define. Sometimes it's obvious to us, at other times it's not. And if we ignore the past, then there's the danger that we will make the same mistakes again that we've made before, or that we may not perpetuate good things that we've done. We need to be aware, and also it speaks to our identity as an historical but prophetic movement. We need to know where we came from, because that will empower us to go where we want to go in the future.
Now, we talk a lot about mission in the Adventist Church with Adventist Mission and our TV show. It's all about mission. I know one important statistic that we're coming up on is an anniversary. What is that anniversary?
This year is the 150th anniversary of the church sending John N. Andrews and his two children, Charles and Mary, as missionaries to Switzerland. They were the first missionaries that the church sent out. So it represents 150 years of cross-cultural mission. Of course, mission can mean different things. To some people, mission just means evangelism in your local church. But the way it tends to be used by Adventist Mission and on Mission 360 is to mean cross-cultural mission, mission around the world, going out from your comfort zone to somewhere new, sharing the good news of Jesus and Adventist prophetic truth with people who've never heard it.
So that is an example of looking to our past to see the motivations. And
so it's 150 years of that kind of mission. So that is something we won't say to celebrate, because of course for Adventists, we would have hoped that the end would have come before now. If you could go back and tell our predecessors we're still here, they'd be disappointed, but certainly to commemorate. And there are things to celebrate, which is God's leading and God's power in the lives of missionaries, ordinary, weak, fallible humans who God transformed because they put themselves into his power. And as a result, they also transformed the lives of countless thousands, indeed tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people around the world, because they went out, they left their homeland, they went as missionaries. So 150 years of that, there are things to celebrate as well as simply to commemorate.
That is very encouraging. The last thing that I want to ask you is, you have a unique position as having kind of this overall view of the past, the present, knowing the statistics. You know where we're at now, you know the numbers, you know the history, you know where we have been, where we've come from, the progress, everything. How do you feel now about where the church is looking forward? Are you encouraged by that?
Absolutely. The church is well positioned to go forward with its mission. We don't always do things right, and it's important to acknowledge that, but especially with what's called Mission Refocus, which is an attempt of the General Conference to refocus on that kind of cross-cultural, cutting-edge, pioneering mission that we were talking about. I think the church is really embracing mission more than it has done for a number of years. And I think that's very encouraging. And of course, we hope that people who watch Mission 360 will want to get involved with that and want to support it very actively.
I agree. So lastly, we have some sources if people want to learn more, if they're interested in the statistics or the stories of mission. I know you have something to offer as well. Can you tell me briefly about that?
So 2 things I'd recommend. First, go to our website, adventistarchives.org. That's adventistarchives.org. It's easy to remember because it's archives. But the other thing I would recommend to people is that they listen to the Mission 150 podcast, which is a joint production of my department, of the GC Communication Department, and of Adventist Review. You can watch it on adventistreview.tv, or you can listen to it on any podcast platform. That's Mission 150, again for the 150th anniversary.
Excellent. And it may be easy for our viewers to remember because we're Mission 360, and then you have 150 there, a little bit similar, easier to remember, hopefully.
We hope so.
But Dr. Trim, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your insight and experience, your expertise. And viewers at home, I hope that you can take this information, that it gives you a context for the work that's happening around the world. And you can follow these resources, hear more stories, and just be encouraged to look around your community to see differences that you can make in the world. Thank you for viewing, and I hope you enjoy these next mission stories.
Welcome back to Hong Kong, and I'm standing in one of the many gardens throughout the city. Although it's very urbanized, there are these green spaces where people come for quiet, for contemplation, for meditation, to escape the busyness of the city. Next up, shot 6 times in Costa Rica.
Jacquiel never imagined he would be lying face down on the ground, covered in blood, fighting for his life.
It all started 3 years ago, when I was already hanging out with friends that weren't real friends. They weren't the right friends. I did things and saw things that I never should have had to. I'm not going to lie. It's dangerous like any place. Houses next to each other, many children and a lot of crime. Many young people. And the most common thing is selling drugs and things like that. That's the general environment.
Jacquiel had gotten himself involved in some of those activities.
Because of those things, because of those mistakes, I suffered the consequences. One day I went to my grandmother's house, and while arriving at my grandmother's house, I looked back and a motorcycle was coming. When I looked back, I was shot 6 times.
As he lay on the street, bleeding, Jacquiel didn't know whether he would live or die.
What I did at that moment was repent and ask God to forgive me.
Jacquiel's aunt came running out of the house and flagged down a passing car to rush them to the hospital.
When I crossed through the hospital doors, my eyes closed. And from there, I woke up the next day at 2 in the afternoon. It is by a miracle of God. And thank God I am here today, super grateful to Him. I got baptized because I want to be close to Him.
Jacquiel came from a Christian background, but never cared much about religion or going to church. As all this unfolded, the local Adventist church constantly prayed for him and his family. It took time, but Jacquiel recovered from his 6 gunshot wounds. He's made big changes to his life. He is currently training to become a professional barber to stay focused on his future.
Now, my character is one thing that... it's a struggle. It is a fight with character. But you know that I always have a positive mind in trying. And I'm changing, and that's it. And you know that you can't do it overnight. But everything happens in its own time. and I know that with God's help, I will go far.
Others in Jack Yale's community also struggle to find a better way to live. The options are limited for young people here, and many are driven to do things to survive. This quarter, a portion of your 13th Sabbath offering will help construct a center for young people in Costa Rica. This center will be a refuge where they can come to develop job skills and contribute to their community. Please pray for young people like Jack Yale who need God's transformation in their lives. Thank you for supporting 13th Sabbath offering projects like this.
God is everything to me. In every way. Because God saved me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on today's program, coming to you from Hong Kong, China. And I hope, as always, that you've been inspired and challenged by our 360-degree view of mission around the world. And I want to thank you for everything you do to help make this happen. We've seen stories of church planters. We know about centers of influence in urban areas. We know that there are many people on the front lines of mission who are greatly encouraged to know that there is a group of people around the world who are praying for them, to sustain them, to support them. And I want to thank you also for your financial support of mission, through your mission offerings, through your gifts to global mission. They do make a difference. Well, for Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.